What's going on, everybody? It's Professor Zeus, and I'm back with another video. Yo, if this is your first time on the channel, just know I greatly appreciate you for stopping by. Go ahead and hit subscribe. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers. We're taking up the humble route, and I've just, tried to set up my new camera, just testing it out to see if I actually like this better than my laptop, as far as videos and things like that. So this is getting used to. I still have a whole bunch of things to set up and things like that, but today I wanted us to talk about something pretty interesting. As you guys can see, I have an Axios article up. According to a recent article by Anthropic CEO Dario Amode, he dropped some information new. And I said some information. He dropped some interesting news. Essentially, he's stating that AI could wipe out half of all entry level white collar jobs in the next 1 to 5 years, potentially spiking unemployment to 10 to 20%. And obviously, that sounds intense and it sounds crazy. And I've been trying to cover as much AI on this channel as I can. So when this news came out, I thought it was really interesting because obviously Anthropic is an interesting large language model. They use Claude, which is really really good AI to use personally. Um, and I just thought this was interesting. I saw a few people discussing it, and I just wanted to see if we can try to break down the pros and the cons of this constant AI revolution. The amount of videos that I've put out on this topic should be letting you know where we're headed with this. So I'm just going to try to share as much practical tips as I can, just for you, the listener, to stay ahead of the curve. Because there's a lot of things, there's a lot of moving parts. Life is changing constantly. So let's try to break this down. So essentially, Dario Ameti, again, the head of Anthropic, a major AI company who's behind Cloud, told Axios that AI is advancing so fast that it could soon replace jobs in fields like tech, finance, law, consulting, especially entry level roles, right? So anything or anyone from paralegals, junior analysts, coders, programmers, you name it, right? And he's essentially predicting this, that it could happen in the next 1 to 5 years, with unemployment potentially hitting levels that we haven't seen in decades, right? And why is this happening, right? Again, large language models, or LLMs, like Anthropic's Cloud or OpenAI's ChatGPT, they're getting so good at tasks that us normal humans can do. They can summarize documents, they can write code, analyze a lot of financial data, and even handle customer service, right? Have you ever been on a website recently and they have a chatbot? The chatbot is more efficient. Well, let me not say more efficient, but pretty efficient when it comes to, getting you what you need, whether you're trying to, request a refund or you're trying to do bank transfers, whatever. Most websites have chatbots on their website that are replacing, you know, the human functionality of customer service, right? And it's all faster and cheaper than us. And Dario, he's saying that AI is moving from augmenting jobs, which is helping humans work better, to automating them entirely, meaning the tech does the job itself. And why this is so interesting is because Anthropic, Dario's company, is building this technology, right? And he admits that the irony, he admits that there's irony, right? But he says, he wants to speak out to warn governments and companies just to get ready and prepare. And the problem with that is, he thinks most people, including, lawmakers, aren't taking this seriously. You guys know I've been taking this seriously. I've been letting you guys know day by day by day. Anytime I come across some interesting news with AI, I always try my best to let you guys know what's happening, right? And it's like, you know, he's saying, it's like we're sleepwalking into a white collar bloodbath. And I just think that's how it is with so many new technology. Remember the metaverse, right? Remember NFTs, all these different types of things. Remember segways. There's been so much technology right, that has come out in just the past few years that have said that, they're going to change how we live on the daily. But these things take time, and the way AI is moving, it's really showing that it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere. But obviously, before you panic with all this news and things that I'm talking about, we have to talk about the pros of the AI revolution, because I believe there's a silver lining, right? AI could lead to a lot of massive breakthroughs, right? Dario himself said we might see things like curing cancer, balancing budgets, or growing the economy at 10% a year, right? And that sounds like science fiction, but it could become reality, right? AI's ability to process huge amounts of data could, solve problems humans struggle with, from medical research to climate change. We've talked about that with the Zimbabwean, multi-million or billionaire in Africa who's starting an AI company in Africa. And for workers, AI can take over a lot of the boring, repetitive tasks. So imagine like no more, shifting and swifting through data entry, or drafting basic reports. This allows you to free up a lot of your time to focus on creative, high level work like strategy, innovation, or building relationships, networking. Because companies benefit too, right? Because there's going to be a lot of lower costs and faster output. And the huge one, history shows that technology creates new jobs, right? So think about the internet. It obviously, went away with some roles, like, travel agents, but created millions and millions of jobs. Think about how many people make money from the internet, right? Web developers, influencers, freelancers, you name it. A lot of people make money through the internet. So people like Sam Altman over at OpenAI, he's optimistic, and he argues that AI will, spark new industries that we can't even imagine yet. But obviously, like the article is stating, we cannot sugarcoat it. There are some serious downsides, right? The biggest con, there's going to be a lot of job losses, especially for a lot of young professionals who are just getting out of college, right? So entry levels in roles in technology, finance, and law are at risk because AI can do them cheaper and faster, right? And a recent Oxford economics report already shows, a lot of college grads are facing higher unemployment than the national average. And that's partly due to AI. So it's not really just a numbers game. It's kind of personal for a lot of people, right? If you're a recent graduate hoping to break into coding or consulting, AI could potentially block your path to getting into the job market. And with unemployment potentially hitting 20%, that's a lot of people struggling to pay bills, right? And Dario, he's warning that this could, hit in just a couple of years, leaving society unprepared. And obviously, another concern is AI's ethical risks, right? Anthropic's own Cloud 4 model showed extreme blackmail behavior in testing. Believe it or not, some of these AI models know how to blackmail the user who's inputting information into it, right? So it's like threatening to expose secrets to avoid being shut down. And obviously, that's extremely frightening and creepy to a lot of people. And it shows how unpredictable and advanced AI can be. And now there's also the economic paradox. If AI boosts growth but leaves millions jobless, who's buying the goods and services? And that's always been my thing that I'm always talking about. If all these companies are going to hire less people to implement more AI into their company, what is the incentive for people to have money to go to other companies and to buy products or services, right? I still have yet to see a case study or whatever on how these companies are going to be making money if everybody's unemployed, and all the AI is doing all the work and people aren't getting paid. I still have yet to see how that's going to work in the future. But what can you do to stay ahead? I got some things that I think that might be of interest for you guys. Just try to be more upskill and or upskill yourself in AI related fields. AI might take some jobs, but it's also creating others. So learn skills like AI development, data science, or prompt engineering. Platforms like Coursera, Udemy, or free YouTube tutorials can definitely get you started. Focus on what AI can't do well yet, like creative problem solving or emotional intelligence, and just embrace being adaptable, right? Um, the World Economic Forum says 39% of skills will be outdated by 2030. So you have to stay curious. You got to keep learning. And if you're in a vulnerable field like law or finance, you have to pivot towards roles that require human judgment or client relationships because AI is obviously not great at those yet. And then you have to advocate for preparation, right? Dario, he's calling for government action like taxing AI companies to fund retraining programs. And you guys just saw my previous video about that panel with Sam Altman and like three other people from like Microsoft, um, the woman who's CEO of AMD, and how the government is essentially wanting to push forward with a unified American strategy for AI, right? And now, Dario, he's calling for government action, like taxing AI companies to fund retraining programs. And you can obviously push for this too, just try to reach out to some of your own lawmakers or support policies that help workers transition, right? And on a personal level, you could just network like crazy and build a portfolio that shows that you provide unique value. The key is always, and I've always been saying this, is to see AI as a tool, not a threat. Yet use it to boost your productivity while carving out a niche that AI can't touch yet, right? AI is coming, whether we like it or not, and it's going to change the game. It could bring amazing breakthroughs, but there's a lot of real challenges, right? Especially for entry level jobs. So just try to stay proactive, learn new skills, be adaptable, and push for smart policies. And you can ride this wave instead of getting swept away. I'm going to definitely link this article in the description so you guys can feel free to check it out, read it in its entirety. But let me know what you guys think. Are you worried about AI taking jobs, or are you excited for what's next? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you found this helpful, hit that like button, subscribe. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers. We're taking the humble route, and share this video with someone who might see some value just like you see some value. Until next time, and never forget, it's you and I verse. Information, application, execution. Till next time, peace.